Hey guys, this is John. I'm playing buckpoulin in a 5+5 game on chess.com. It's another climbing the rating ladder video. My opponent's rated 1271. He opens with e4. I feel like I've been facing e4 a lot lately. Let's play e5. The old double king pawn. Okay, knight c6. I've been meaning to experiment with the Petrov knight f6 on move 2 because it cuts out some of the gambits and stuff that you need to know, but not in this game. All right, so white backs the bishop up to a4, mainline Ruy Lopez. So now black does not have to defend their e-pawn until white does in this line. It's a good rule of thumb. So white could play bishop takes c6 and knight takes e5 at any point, but black is able to get the pawn back. Knight takes e4 is something I can think about. Okay, now here white plays c3, and I'm definitely thinking about playing knight takes e4 because rook e1 was the mainline move. I could also play b5 and try to kick the bishop away to b3 and then take e4, but the problem is white's going to go to c2, so let's take this pawn. And white can win the pawn back. Yeah, rook here, and it's a bit dangerous to play d5. White can play d3 or knight takes e5, so I'm just going to play my knight back and then look to castle coming up. But I think black should be doing very well. I can take the knight, or I can just castle. Even though white can double up my pawns, I don't mind my position at all. I think both options are fine here. Let's go with castles. Kind of thinking if white takes on c6, maybe I can take with the d-pawn and accelerate my development, perhaps get that light square bishop out. White may play d4 after that, but I see that I can also always try to play c5 and try to trade my c-pawn for white's d-pawn. Oh, this is funny. buckpoulin says in the chat, "You're John Bartholomew. I watch you on Twitch. No idea why it paired me with you." That's because I clicked on your challenge, buckpoulin. I was lurking the open challenges on chess.com. Just going to write him a quick message here. I told him this is going to go on YouTube, so hopefully he doesn't get nervous or anything. All right, queen e2. That's an interesting move, lining up against the bishop on e7. So I have to be aware here that white is threatening to take and then take. So I could just take his knight, but I don't know if I like having to move my bishop after that and block my d-pawn if I play bishop to d6. What other options do I have here? That might just be the main option. Take and then bishop d6 or rook e8. I mean, rook e8's probably all right. Yeah, maybe take and rook e8, because white could have some alignment issues down the e-file. So let's go for that. He said no blunders so far, I think. Just telling him, yep, well played. Okay, so queen takes e5. So now he is hitting this twice. And I think rook e8 is a reasonable move. As I was saying, I just not thrilled about playing bishop d6, so let's go ahead and do this. My d-pawn is pinned, but I figure I can always play b5 if I want to be able to kick the bishop away. And okay, he does back this off. However, I wonder if bishop d6 now presents white with some problems. He can play rook takes e8, queen takes e8, queen e3. So that looks all right. Is it time to play b5? And the bishop d6 move leads to trades. I think b5 looks a little more enterprising, so let's go for that. I could also try to put my bishop on c5. And he plays his bishop to c2, because I feel like now he's going to play pawn d4 very, very soon. Maybe I should play bishop d6 and force him to find that continuation. And then I might just play bishop b7 and have my rook on a8 protect my queen. I kind of like the way my bishops are arranged after that, and he's lagging a bit in the queenside development department. I guess he could also trade and play queen d3. So on queen e1 check, he can play queen f1. But then I have bishop takes h2, actually, a little tactic. So I'm going to try to capitalize on my slight lead in development here. I'm expecting queen e3. Ah, and I also have bishop takes h2. I was missing that. Okay. So I have a little tactic here that I was previously missing. Could have done that on the move before I played b5, but fortunately it's still working here. Okay, so likely going to adjust my plan when white plays queen e3. f4. Okay, I think the problem with this move, though, is I can take... I don't know, taking in queen e1 check, white has queen f1, so that actually may be decent. What about knight h5? Knight h5 trying to go after f4. He has queen e3. Interesting move. Could also just play bishop b7, continue developing here. Queen e2 comes to mind, although I kind of want to keep queen e2 in reserve. I feel like that would be a stronger move when I have this already played. Yeah, let's play bishop b7. I don't see a direct threat here, and I kind of want to keep a little bit of time, even though we do have that 5-second increment. Yeah, interesting. So fascinating, because I thought queen e3 was forced a few moves ago, and the more I looked at the position, I started seeing other things. Okay, maybe white could try queen d3. That happens to fail. This f4 move. Even on the queen e3 move, I was seeing bishop takes h2. So sometimes the amount of candidate moves that you're considering starts to expand when you continue playing the position. So d4. All right, so now I'm thinking queen e2 hits the bishop, and if white brings their queen over to defend, well, queen takes g2 will be mate. Now with this move, white does have the bishop on c1 participating a bit better. But here, it looks pretty darn strong. If bishop d3, I can give a check here and win the bishop, so I think this is looking difficult to defend. Queen f2 perhaps, and then I might just play rook e8 and get the rook involved. Invite everyone to the party. Could trade, but I'd rather play a useful move, get my remaining piece into the game, and if white takes, get my rook directly to the second rank. That looks pretty helpful. Yeah, let's do this. So now I feel like I have all my pieces mobilized. Am I threatening anything here? Maybe a trade or queen e1? Yeah, probably queen e1 is my main threat now. Although white could play queen f1 there, but maybe rook e2 after that. I think with the inclusion of this rook and maybe the ability to bring the rook down to the second rank, it should be too much. So yeah, white just has this slumbering queen side, and I'm creating threats. Yeah, queen takes e2, not a move white would like to play there, but I don't think he had much better. I can sympathize with that position. There wasn't a whole lot of good options there. Maybe bishop d2, worth looking at in the analysis, but I have moves like knight g4, for instance. And here, this is going to be too much when I'm attacking this. Presumably the bishop has to move, or knight d2, but I take on g2. I also have the option of checking and going after the bishop, which I might just do here. Yeah, that looks cleanest. And then white has a hard time even completing development, getting this knight out, because they'll be pinned. So, okay. buckpoulin, thank you for the game. Always awesome to play a viewer. Thank you for checking me out on Twitch and possibly YouTube as well. So, I'm just going to tell him I'm going to upload this tonight. All right. So, what can we learn from this game? Go back to the beginning. Ruy Lopez game. Yeah, and bishop a4 is the main move. White can also take on c6. When I was first learning the Ruy Lopez, I was kind of surprised that bishop takes c6 was not the main move here. It is possible, the exchange variation, but after d takes c6, as I was describing, black doesn't have to overly worry about the e-pawn, because if knight takes on e5, there's queen d4, and black will win the pawn back. So, no worries there. And as we proceeded, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, main move, castles. Black can try knight takes e4 here, although d4 leads to the open Ruy Lopez. There's theory there. I played bishop e7, also one of the main moves. So again, if white takes c6, take with the d-pawn, knight takes e5, black can play knight takes e4 in this case. You don't want to play knight takes e4 in the other line because queen e2 could be an issue. But here with the e-file a bit better covered, it's fine. So bishop e7, and then buckpoulin played c3. But yeah, rook e1 is the main move. Defending the e-pawn, and if black were to just routinely castle, now white can take and take e5. That's a mistake that you sometimes see. So had white played rook e1, I was just going to play b5. This would be a good moment to kick the bishop here, and then black can either castle or play d6. Both are main lines. However, as played, yeah, c3 seemed like a good time for me to capture on e4, and I think this should at least equalize for black. It's probably a stretch to say that black's going to be better here, but we get some trades, and yeah, I would say the big problem for white's position is that he was lagging in development. Yeah, I do wish I would have seen bishop d6, rook takes e8, queen takes e8, queen e3, bishop takes h2 on the previous move. I guess b5 didn't spoil anything, whether the bishop goes to any of these squares, so it's probably okay. But yeah, it would have been nice to spot this idea a couple moves before I actually did. White also has f4 here. Maybe the bishop being on a4 gives me some extra opportunities. Be nice to play queen e4 and hit both these pieces, although then d4 is possible, defending and blocking. It's probably quite similar to the game, though. Can imagine black playing b5, bishop b7, rook over here. There's even knight h5 ideas if I really want to go after the f-pawn or try to deflect the queen. So I will click over to the analysis board in a second. But yeah, I think this is just a tough position for white. Yeah, even though f4 temporarily kept white above water, I think this position, black's activity, is just too great here. Yeah, bishop d2 might be a way to try to keep things together, but so many good options for black. Maybe just knight g4 looks like a good, simple one. And then if takes, white still has this issue on g2. I don't think moving the queen will be faring much better here. Maybe knight e3 if that happens. Okay, so yeah, I would say that c3 move was a mistake for white, but probably queen e2 was the move that really got white in trouble. It looks like an active move, creating a threat against e7, because again, white's trying to play knight takes c6, queen takes e7, but when I'm able to get my rook to e8, I think white has to be pretty careful here. Yeah, they're already significantly behind in development, so maybe instead of queen e2, just trade on c6 and play d4, or perhaps play d4 right away. I think would be fine too. Okay, so let's click over to the analysis board. Do a little engine check now that we have some initial impressions and conclusions about the game. Yeah, okay, so the engine agrees, knight takes e4 here. And I'm not looking to be greedy here and try to keep the pawn. Yeah, knight c5, as the engine points out, is probably another good move here. Just go and attack the bishop on a4. Yeah, that definitely also seems fine. White could take and then take e5, but black has the bishop pair. Some continuation like this looks pretty nice for black. Knight d3, looking to block white up over here. Yeah, I could appreciate how black's a little bit better here. Yeah, two bishops. Still hard for white to coordinate. Maybe should go for rook e3 followed by d4, something like that. Okay, so knight c5, move I should remember there. White took. Yeah, interestingly, the engine says that d4 is better. You do see that a lot in the Ruy Lopez. Looking to open the e-file before black gets castled. So I could take or push e4. Yeah, both those moves look okay. But instead, white played knight takes e5. And actually, the computer does not like my castles move so much. Yeah, I was wondering about that for a second too, right before I clicked over to the analysis board. I was wondering about d4 here. So indeed, maybe that causes me some issues, because if I play d6, I'm going to lose a pawn, like so. And if I play b5, maybe white's a little bit better. Bishop c2. Yeah, the knight on e5 has an annoying effect because if I take, pawn takes, and my knight can't advance anywhere useful. All those squares are covered by white's pieces. So you'd hate to have to play knight e8 here. It looks really passive. Okay. Yeah, so I think I didn't exactly play this correctly. Knight c5 might be a small improvement, and especially here, yeah, knight takes e5 and probably then castle. Yeah, and look to play d6 or d5. Let's see what the engine says. d4, d5. Yeah, black's doing totally fine here. Bishop d6, develop the light square bishop. Probably in this case, I won't necessarily be in a hurry to play b5 unless I really want to get my rook to e8. Okay, so a possible improvement on my end. And what about queen e2? Was I right about that move? Yeah, the engine hates that move for white. Yeah, eval jumps from a white advantage if white plays d4 here to a significant black advantage. Over 1.5 points in black's favor. So yeah, it looks like take as I played, and rook e8. Uncomfortable alignment issue for white. I'm threatening to move the bishop and win down the e file. So best according to Stockfish here is queen e2, letting me do any sort of discoveries I want with the bishop, but I guess I don't have like a truly devastating one. Yeah, b5, bishop comes back to c2, bishop b7. Looks like a nice position for black. Just getting rid of that knight on e5 helps a lot. I feel very coordinated here. Ready to move the bishop, or maybe even expand. I see the engine like c5 coming up. But instead, queen to g3. Okay, the engine says b5's fine. Bishop d6, also looking good. Yep. And the top line that the engine gives is that line that I eventually figured out was possible here. And then bishop takes h2. You know, I previewed Tune Your Chess Tactics Antenna recently on my channel, which is a course that we now have on Chessable, and it was a book published in 2012 by New in Chess. And one of the major signals that FIDE Master Emmanuel Niemann discusses in that book, a signal that a tactic may be present, is knight fork distance. So bishop takes h2, Greek gift style move, not even a sacrifice, because if white takes it, these two pieces are within knight fork distance. They're both on the same color square, which is an important aspect of knight forks, obviously. And black will pick up material if this happens. So white would have to move their king, but they would just be down a pawn here. Yeah, king h1 or something, probably swap queens and then bring the bishop back somewhere. And what about f4 in this position? I was talking about this, or maybe b5, looking to bring the queen into e2 or play bishop e7. The engine likes queen e2 right away. Yeah, it says that this is a nice position for black as well. Yep, I think the backward development, which is one thing you do have to watch out for in the Ruy Lopez, especially if you open the position up a little bit too early. That's actually the whole premise behind the Marshall Gambit. If you guys are familiar with that line, maybe I'll go over that line at some point in the video. But because white plays c3, they're looking to build up a big center with d4. It's a principle we discussed before, but you're depriving the knight of the c3 square, and it can be tougher to get your pieces out on the queen side if you're not careful. So, all right, as played, I threw in b5, which doesn't seem to materially alter anything. Bishop c2, yeah, bishop b6, bishop d6 rather. Take, queen takes. Yeah, we could switch up the move order, I guess, and play f4, but then I could take and take here if I wanted. I'm not worried about this bishop pointing at h7. I was checking here and there to make sure there wasn't a tactic associated with that, but I have two pieces defending it, so overprotection is always a good thing. Yeah, f4. I just played bishop e7. Looks good. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just too difficult of a position here. The engine wants to play bishop d1, which certainly looks like it only helps a bit. Stopping queen e2, but not contributing to white's development. And that is interesting, though, because if queen e4, there's bishop f3. It's perhaps one idea. Even here, I guess, there's issues. Queen d3, and if takes, bishop c5 check is going to crush, followed by queen to f1. Yeah, it's real difficult. The margin for error is pretty small for white to even have a playable position here. So d4, queen e2. Yep. And just so crucial to always be thinking of ways to get your slumbering pieces into the game. So, here, rook e8. I know that may not be an intuitive move for some of you guys, but black does not have to be in a hurry to cash in here. And if I take, in my mind, that kind of helps white, because then their king can be useful in guarding these squares. And if I bring my rook over, it's not going to be as dangerous. So I can develop my attack, include a piece, keep all of the same threats that I had before I trade, and throw the move back at white. Make white make a tough decision. So, queen e1 or knight g4, all of these are possible. And this is already too big of a disadvantage for white to fight back from. If knight d2, just looking at this line, knight g4, if there's a trade, I'm bound to win this or something on the second rank. If white plays queen g3, bishop takes f4, and that's just a deflection. If takes, queen takes g2. So in the game, buckpoulin played queen takes e2, but then rook takes e2. And soon over. I guess white could avoid losing a piece for the moment, but losing the king side and getting chased around is not much of an improvement. Up 2 pawns here. White can't develop the knight because they lose this, or maybe blunder into that as well. Totally crushing. Okay, so I think there were some important themes illustrated in this game, especially for those of you who play the Ruy Lopez for either white or black. Make sure your timing is correct here. Rook e1 to defend the e-pawn is usually better before playing c3, and then try to play for c3 followed by d4. If you're black, you don't have to worry about defending your e-pawn until white does the same, but you should know the ways that you can get the e-pawn back, like the early queen d4 or knight takes e4. Also, I didn't necessarily play perfect. I think if white had played d4 here, white is for choice. It also kind of shows how white has to be careful in this opening due to, as I was describing, the slightly backward queenside development. So the Marshall Gambit, by the way, if you're wondering, last thing I'll say before I sign off here, that's if the game goes rook e1, b5, bishop b3, castles, c3. Now black plays d5, which offers a pawn. Take, knight takes e5 here. Black can play c6 as the main line. There's also knight f6. And basically, black banks on the fact that white is going to require some time to get these pieces in the game, and black can play bishop d6, queen h4, start throwing some pieces at white's king side, sometimes even obtain strategic compensation for the pawn that they're sacrificing. All right, so once again, thank you to buckpoulin for the game. Hope you found this useful, and hope you guys are all doing well. I'll be back again soon with another video. Bye, guys.